was going on, but those Banshees were just hard countered from the start. Those 4 callers were up in time, and that worked out great, for Lost. We'll have to see if he goes for those Banshees again, or if he's just going to do the standard Hellion expand. But we do have a scout moving across the map from Lost. He's going to go ahead and scout cross map first, and his Overlord, of course, is scouting the bottom position.
He is just going to see that barracks as well as 1 gas, so that is one great indication that Fargo is once again going to go for that reactored Hellion build. Last time he actually built 3 Marines before before starting the reactors to be able to swap it with the factory, and I expect this is going to be the same thing, just to be able to kill that extractor.
Yeah, I mean, that extractor steal really limits what your opponent can do, and so that's kind of one of those great standard things that as a Zerg player you should probably do, because it allows you, of course, to say, okay, well, I'm basically going to cut the amount of gas you could have, for this amount of time in half, and that's a great ploy to stop things like really fast cloak Banshees, really fast blue flame Hellions from showing up.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily completely negate the possibility, as we saw Fargo actually went for Banshees last game, but it definitely delays it by quite some bit. As you said,
Absolutely.
You can't see a cloak Banshee at 5 minutes because it's just impossible to get that amount of gas. And there it is, the factory and reactor once again by Fargo, playing the normal standard play that he is known for and loves.
And as soon as that drone dies, of course, we see a command center go down, 3 Marines move to the front, going to start moving down the ramp a little bit. And this is, again, I love consistency in play. And I like to be able to watch players do the same build over and over and branch their build off at different points based on what they see. And so, we saw in the first game, he actually poached all the way to his opponent's base with these Marines. Did he do that in this game? No, he did not. Why was that? He probably saw speed going down. In the first game, speed was actually delayed until after some roaches got out. We don't see roaches, we just see speed. So those Marines, not quite as safe. Going to leave them back at home, get those Hellions up, and push out with the Hellions.
Now I expect these Hellions to actually just take a small pit stop at both these watchtowers just to be able to clear out the lings. It gives that much less map control to the Zerg, and it keeps him in the dark, not knowing what the Terran will do, if he's going to 2-base all in, if he's going to 1-base all in. The Zerg really has to compensate for everything that can happen, simply because you just stopped by the watchtowers, and he did not do that. He actually went straight up.
But look at what's happened here. Lost has pulled all his drones up to his main. He's blocking his ramp, so he's missing injects. That's
actually overkill. I mean, he has 2 Queens and a Spine Crawler. He has his Roach.
He's afraid of these Hellions, though.
Yeah, he is really afraid of them.
He does not want to lose everything to these Hellions, but we do have the 4 Hellions at the front. Probably just going to sit here and deny creep spread at this point.
That. Once again, pulling all the drones to the main base. I mean,
and roaches have been forced.
Yeah,
he's got roaches out now.
He could have probably just spent another 100 minerals on a Spine Crawler and left all those drones there instead of transferring them twice. And look at this, Fargo not paying attention, losing a Hellions to the roaches, and forced it back. Now that creep spread is starting, he does have 3 Queens already. And really that creep spread is going to get kind of out of control with these roaches guarding the creep tumors. And I do hope
third queen.
I do hope that Lost actually goes for a 3rd base at this point, because these Hellions have been pushed back to the main base. They don't have map control anymore. Map control, or at least the left side of the map, is the roaches' property, and that will enable a 3rd base to go up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could. Those roaches put map control back in the hand of the Zerg, really.
And he does see that there is a 2nd base for Fargo, so there is no 1-base all-in.
But I'm interested by this drone moving out. We saw Lost do this in Game 1, and I guess, it might have panned out for him for a while, but it looks like he's going to be expanding down to this expansion down at the bottom.
The problem with this is that this is straight up in a medevac's drop route. If a drop happens in the main base, you can be sure that the medevac will actually scout that. So he's actually going to have to throw down 1 or 2 spine crawlers just to be safe at that base before the medevacs get out.
Absolutely.
It's not that large of a map where the medevac has about 300 options of where it can go. It can probably go 2 ways, up or down, and since the Zerg player actually spawned at the bottom, it's more likely that the medevac is actually going to go down for the main base drop.
See a little bit of dancing between those Hellions and those Roaches in the middle of the map. Looks like the Hellions though are going to go ahead and sneak past the Roaches, probably checking for a third base, which is not there. You know, I would think after that first game that maybe Fargo will suspect something. Maybe will be like, there's no third base here. You know, I wonder if it's somewhere else.
And this third base by loss is really dangerous, and you can see the medevac is rallied straight on top of it. It's going to get revealed, and it's going to have to cancel unless it's just about to finish. He should really cancel it right now.
Oh no, it did finish.
And there you go. It is done for. There is no way that this is actually going to stay alive. There's the drop, and that's what I was talking about.
That is 300 minerals lost.
I mean, those minerals could have been a third base on the left side or on the top left side, and really I think that 4Kings lost actually made a huge blunder by trying to sneak this expansion, especially on this map in this position.
I completely agree with you. He did delay getting his main dropped, of course, but that hatch did go down, so that is 300 minerals lost.
So at least he is going to be ready inside his main base. You can see the Lings are already in position. 2 Queens there to be able to target down the medevac. And yet that drop is coming up. Now Gwin is actually choking on emotion right now, so bear with him.
I'm so feeling so sorry for our Zerg buddy here. You know, he is just having a little bit of a rough time with that expansion timing on that third. He has decided to double expand off this, and I'm not sure if I think this is the best move. You know, he has a very mobile composition with these Lings, but that is a lot of Zerglings, and look at that, picking them all up. All those Marines are absolutely...
One Marine. And I do think, though, that the double expand, although it is very dangerous at this point, he has to do something pretty drastic because he is at 49 Harvesters against Terran's 53. So if he wants to actually come back later in the game and not just all in right now, he needs a lot of everything. And 2 expansions is a way of getting that, but this other drop on the top west side is actually going to drop the 4th base and might force a cancel there once again.
Yeah, I mean, and we can see actually a Viking moving along the bottom as well to clear out all these overlords. You know, this is just, you know, some really good Terran play out of Fargo. He's being really abusive, and that's, you know, a great way to deal with a Zerg player.
He has not moved out once, and yet has done so much damage. You can see this Queen trying to get an inject off right before. He did try and actually leaving 2 Marines behind, those 2 poor souls.
You know, I think that kind of is the life of a Marine, though. Sometimes you just get killed a lot.
You don't get killed once. You get killed a lot. Many times over and over again. You just get cloned. Those barracks just clone you and you die.
We are seeing another drop here. If he could take out this Spire with these Marines, that would be absolutely huge. That should be his target as soon as he stims in and runs for it. But we're seeing a lot of good multi-run aggression. And look at this. Fargo taking his 3rd behind this aggression, moving out with quite a few Marines, quite a few tanks. And, I mean, he should be pretty safe. We do have the Spire almost about to complete.
Yeah, he has 2 drops in perfect position right now to hit at the exact same time. And really, everything's going so well for Fargo right now. And
absolutely does. And look at that, targeting the Spire. He will be able to take that out. There's pretty much nothing he can do. And that
he did not finish it off. He should really finish off the Spire right now. What is he doing? Fargo?
Killing some Queens first.
Please kill the Spire. No! That would have been...
Spire does go down, and he does pick up all but 2 of those Marines.
So Fargo just giving us a heart attack. He's thinking, oh, I'll give the casters some fun.
Absolutely. Let's, and the Spire, of course, immediately rebuilding, but, that's a pretty huge hit because now he will not be able to continue to make that Mutalisk flock that all Zergs want to get up to. It looks like he only has, 9 Mutalisks on the field right now.
And the Spire is so long to build. It is
absolutely
just a pain to build. That's all you're waiting for is always waiting on the Spire. That and a Hive.
And look at this. We already have a 4th command center going out for Fargo. He is a beast with his macro right now.
And Fargo,
he is
what I love
20 supply ahead.
Is he just took out the Spire. He's going to be so safe. These drops are actually not going to be able to be cleaned out easily. I mean, there are 8 Marines per drop, and there are only 9 Mutas on the field. So even if he does get intercepted, he can always drop the Marines and do some kind of damage with them. So expanding everywhere is a great idea right now because the Mutalisks have to be very, very vigilant around his own base to stop these drops. And if he goes for a counterattack like this with the Mutas, this drop is just going to move in that 4th base and take it out.
Absolutely. We do note, though, that there are 16 Mutalisks in production right now because he did get another Spire up, and we are seeing a big Ling counterattack. This is going to be a planetary, but will it get up in time?
32 Lings in production as well. These Lings are not doing that much damage. They do get a nice surround on the Marines. The Planetary Fortress finishes and has 6 Ling kills.
But that Mutalisk cloud is actually pretty fearsome at this point. We have almost 24 Mutalisks out. There are a lot of Marines, but I don't see any Thors out on the field.
There is another drop in the main. Is he going to target down the Spire? Once again, it does not look like he's going to get it. These Banelings get one shot off, and all these Marines are inside the medevac, being very red and bleedy.
The medevac is probably their best friend. They're like, just saved us all from that gooey stuff down there. We heart you.
And look at that nice little juke by the medevac. Actually, Lost thinks that the medevac went on the right side, but it actually juked back on the left side, and it has escaped just like that. Now there is one huge push in the center of the map with a lot of Marines, a lot of tanks. Fargo is now max. Lost is only at 185 supply, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything about this. Like I said, just trying to attack straight up into this is not a good idea, and especially since Fargo is max, that is going to be so hard to actually bust through. Fargo is getting dangerously close to Lost's base, and really I don't know if Lost has the resources to push this back. He is going for a counterattack, but he will be able
to break through that wall. He's taking out that armory, which is such a smart choice.
But he has to deal with these units eventually. And he lost his 3rd base. He's almost definitely going to lose his 4th base. And Fargo has shown us such a great play at this point. He does not even care.
Drop in the main at the same time.
Wow. All the Banelings being pulled back. And look at this, just walking up the natural expansion. The counterattack did do a lot of damage, but now the Mutas are pulling back. The drones are dying at the 4th base. The natural hatchery has gone down. And really, Fargo has played so well this game.
I love this choice. Look at these Thors sitting right in the middle of the tanks. And that's so great because, of course, if your tanks get out of position, the Mutalisks will come and pick them off. Well, Mutalisks can't pick off tanks if there are 2 Thors sitting in the middle of them. Oh, but he has moved the Thors now. I'm not sure I like this play anymore, Fargo.
Just a couple of Marines there. They are very vulnerable to Mutalisks. The Mutalisks are at the 4th base cleaning up a small drop. But, I mean, Lost is going to lose his main base and everything that's there. He just is sacrificing so many Banelings on Thors right now. And there are still a lot of tanks and Marines left at the ramp of the natural expansion. Some Mutalisks are going to come here, clean up the tanks and Marines. But I think it's too late. Lost, unfortunately, is not going to be able to come back from this.
do think it is too late. Yeah, I mean, he's got some Needless out. The Thors are up here in the main hall. They are very low on health, though. But they do have...
a magic box on all that.
And then we'll actually be able to clean it all up, but at what cost? I mean, we have 0 mining bases for Lost at this point. You know, one that is soon to be mining, but not quite.
If you see that income tab, it is 40 minerals per minute and 112 gas per minute against over 1,000 minerals per minute for Fargo. Fargo is just producing so much right now. He already has another marine tank army stimming a bit of those to chase away the mutas. And the production tab says it all. I mean, Lost right now has 0 production.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, he's producing 1 creep tumor.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, there we go.
Stay positive.
Fargo has pulled out some amazing play here. Unfortunately, this drop is going to get inserted. Nope, those Mutilisks. They did see it. They did see it. So Fargo is going to lose those Mutilisks, or is going to lose that drop. But you were right. He just has such a huge infrastructure set up. He can continue producing. He's getting 3-3.
Picking off
these Mutilisks might be able to get in here and pick off a tank or 2, take out a reactor, but they are not long for this world as this push is moving out.
And look at that Thor killing, killing 2.
And the Gratz goes out. It looks like Fargo is going to take that 2-1. So we have a repeat of our last series. xSix is going to take it 2-1. So now xSix is actually up 2-0 in this team matchup. This is again for those of people who maybe just joined the chat, just joined watching us. This is ESEA's Match of the Week. This is week 1, and we have xSix versus 4Kings. 2 North American professional teams.
Yeah, I've seen some great games up to now, and the next matchup is actually going to be Gerbil versus Mystic.
Absolutely. So we are going to go ahead and and jump into that game in just a moment. I need 1 moment to visit the restroom, and I will be right back with you.
I will also be right back. I will put up our beautiful, beautiful ESEA screen up while we wait. Okay, we are back. I don't know if Gwin is actually back. I don't think so, so I'm going to take down this beautiful screen, or actually just leave it up for now. While we wait for the next matchup, that is going to be Gerbil versus Mystic, and it is going to be on Tal'Darim Altar. I guess this is the map of choice for the first game. It looks like Gerbil is ready. Mystic is still not in the game. Now, Mystic has actually... Hey, you're back.
I am.
And apparently I'll be playing. Okay, so we are in the game.
Is this going to be a Zerg versus Zerg? I'm actually very intrigued. Mystic, of course, is a Zerg player. Gerbil is a Zerg player as well. So a little bit of ZVZ, and that's actually pretty cool. I'm excited to see...
some live ZVZ action.
Yeah, I mean ZVZ is such a interesting matchup lately, especially with the recent switch to a lot of players using Mutilisks for map control. I mean, one of the things that is so interesting about that matchup is that in order to stay alive against all those Roach-Ling timing attacks, you have to have a great Overlord spread. You need to be able to see what your opponent is doing. And so going Mutalisk after you've gotten some Roaches out and some Spine Crawlers to defend, getting those Mutas out, you have like at least 4 or 5 free Overlord picks. And, I mean, that's 500 minerals worth of damage you've done without endangering your Mutalisks at all. In addition, you've just taken complete map control. You could get out just 5 Mutas, kill off 6 Overlords, go right back to Roaches, and then push.
Yeah, that investment into a Spire and a few Mutas usually is really, really worth it.
Alright, looks like we are going to go ahead and jump into this game on MLG's Taldream Altar. You know, we saw actually an amazing game between Sen and Jelizerg in the NASL finals on this map. And since then, because it doesn't have that ramp, it's always been a favorite of mine because you got wide open natural. A favorite of mine to watch games on, not to play them on though. I must say. And spawning as the Red Zerg in the upper left-hand corner, we do have 4Kings Gerbil, and from xSix Mystic, of course, as the Green Zerg in the lower right-hand corner, we have a ZVZ on Taldream Altar.
Now, a lot of people might call this matchup very volatile, and the reason is that on big maps like this, there are so many options that you can go for in the early game only. I mean, everything's kind of viable, but kind of a gamble at the same time. If you go for an Expo first, you lose to a 10 pool. If you go for a 10 pool, you lose to a 14 pool. But if you get a great scout off, it works. Unfortunately, this map is a 4-player map, so your scout has to be dead on. So what most players will do is actually stay very safe and go for that 14 gas, 14 pool. And is 4K Gerbil going for
I just saw
pool.
double extractor trick of him and into a 12 pool.
I love this build.
And then the extractor immediately after. I'm really curious as if we're going to see a Baneling follow up to this.
Double extractor. No, he is going. I want
to see a extractor trick again.
What happens with this is that you can actually get Zergling speed up, mass produce lings off of one base, and get your queen at the same time. Which is just
very interesting.
But it is very all-in, because once you mass produce all your lings off of one base, you never have the money to expand if you're doing it correctly.
Of course. So we'll have to see how that plays out, what he's doing. It looks like McKenzie went for a pretty standard 14-14 opening. So we'll have to see how this build matches up. You know, the pool for Gerbil about to finish, whereas McKenzie's pool is not even half done. Ling's on the way, and he should be able to. I mean, he's got 64 gas. We'll be able to start Zergling speed pretty quickly.
So the real power of this build is not having lings at your opponent's base before they have lings. It's actually getting speed before your opponent has speed. And with speed, you can micro your lings a lot better and maybe pick off a few drones without losing any lings yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, that speed looks like it's actually not that far ahead.
Just a tiny bit, 25 seconds in versus 15, so it's about 10 seconds before.
I'm not sure if that's a build that I would want to try then. Looking at the drone count, we see McKenzie is already 3 drones up in the matchup.
He is he is going to have this 10-second window of opportunity where he's going to have a lot of lings with speed. His opponent won't have a lot of lings with the speed. So really he has to really utilize that window to do as much damage as he can. If he can pick off a queen, that would be enough damage.
It looks like we see a Baneling nest coming down from Mystic. So Mystic might be going for some sort of Ling Baneling attack in the beginning. This is that volatility that people talk about in this matchup, where you can do things like Ling Baneling and off one base, and people are like, oh yeah, it's not all in. That's a completely viable opening. I myself am much more a fan of roach openings in this matchup. Get those roaches up, allow you to expand safely, and tech after that. Spinecrawler going down, and we've got some defensive Banelings.
There is that speed just kicking in for Gerbil, and you can see that he actually managed to pick off a couple of lings with that speed without his opponent doing anything. But
Absolutely
2 Banelings, he really has to be careful there.
that could have been so absolutely huge.
This is so tense right now. This is the most intense micro of the game. These lings against the Banelings. You really have to focus down the Banelings with single lings one at a time. And there you go, one Baneling killing about 5-6 lings right there. That is
not a trade that you want to be in.
That is why you get Banelings. If you get one shot off like that, you are good and safe.
And of course, banelings are ridiculously slow compared to speedlings, which makes the whole conflict even that more hilarious.
They just wobble around, looking kind of goofy.
Until they explode and kill everything.
They still look goofy. Now, the harvester count is 13 versus 13, and both of these players are only producing lings at this point. One more baneling shot getting a lot of lings, and really Gerbil has to be very careful.
Gerbil actually has a hatchery on the way, so I'm actually curious to see if he's going to be able to hold this. I mean, baneling ling versus pure ling is, I would say, probably not a great trade to be in.
No, what happens, you have to be very, very confident with your ling micro if you're going to go pure lings against banelings. It's doable, but you have to send one ling in on each and every single baneling. As he's doing right now, he's actually doing a pretty good job of it right now. More micro going on, that baneling just being so careful, trying to explode on all these lings. But really, Gerbil is doing a great job sending just 2 lings at a time on one baneling. And it looks like he's actually going to be able to take this hatchery down. Not take it down, get it up.
Get it up. It is up. It is not being saturated, but there are a lot of lings hammering on it. And this is a force to respond. I mean, he has to respond to this. He can't not respond. And so we'll have to see how this goes. This is a lot of banelings, though, out of McKenzie. He's got 3 over here, and I would not be surprised if this hatchery falls.
And it looks like he might actually save it. There is a spine crawler inside the main base. I'm curious if he's actually going to move that to try and save the hatchery. It looks like this hatchery is just getting picked off so slowly, moving this queen to help reinforce and maybe be able to save it. It's down at 95 HP, 50 HP, and there it
will go down. Will go down.
And now this
he will have to pull back. But he's got more banelings in production over here. So Mystic is not letting up this aggression. Gerbil finally responding with some banelings of his own. He's got 1 in production up here. He's got this spine crawler, which sadly, there's a creep tumor going down. I was going to say it was not long for this world, but that creep tumor will allow it to continue living. But look at that wisely.
Gerbil did have some great micro throughout this engagement, especially in that second part. But now he just went for that hatchery just a tiny bit too early, and now is really paying the price for it. I mean, Gerbil actually went for a lot of greed. He has 19 harvesters against only 13 for Mystic.
It looks like he is paying for that. Probably going to lose this queen. No. And then GG out of Gerbil did lose the queen. Wow.
So really, some very slight adjustments by Gerbil could have made this game happen for him. This is the volatility we were talking about. I mean, it is so intensive, and it's not necessarily volatility in the form of randomness, but just in these very, very small tweaks in your strategy, in your micro, that will make a huge difference.
Absolutely. I mean, that baneling micro, it's one of those things that you just have to be so careful with. Looking at that play out of both players, there were mistakes by both parties. Could have gone much more one-sided in either direction, really. But we'll have to see what happens in this next game, because on a map like that with no ramp, where you can sit on the top with roaches, that baneling is much more popular. But on maps where you can hole up on one base so you get some roaches and then push out and take your expansion, I feel like those roach strategies beat a lot of that baneling type shenanigans.
I mean, it takes so many banelings to actually kill one roach. If the roaches are very, very clumped up, it might be cost effective, but in the early game, it's just not going to happen.
Absolutely.
Now, Mystic just vetoed Crossfire, so it's going to be Gerbil's choice, and Mystic is having some router issues, so he is restarting his router right now. So
I thought it was, is it router?
Router, maybe. Router.
I'm just making fun of you because you're from Quebec. It's okay, don't worry.
Oh, that's just mean.
Well, at least I pronounced Quebec correctly, right?
Yeah, you can add a Quebec if you want, if you really feel like it.
if I really feel Canadian. I am actually a dual citizen, but I'm from British Columbia, so I don't quite have as strong of an accent.
You're from Canada, eh?
I am from British Columbia, from Vancouver. So
great. So we're just gonna wait.
Looks like Mystic is actually back, saying go in the chat. So we're gonna get an invite to a game soon, and I'm pretty excited about that. I'm jazzed that we get to see another ZVZ. I hope it makes it to the mid game. You know, that's just kind of throwing that out there. And we'll have to see. But yeah, it's a very interesting matchup. I think that the choice, of course, in the other matchups when there is a Zerg is that the danger is, of course, Zerg can at any time stop making drones and start making units. But most of the other races have these kind of smooth build orders or scouting patterns in which they can say, I've identified this point, I need to hold this push that's upcoming. You stop making drones. Whereas in Zerg vs. Zerg, you might make that army to defend a push, and then you can just immediately counter-push.
Exactly, and what's going to happen in other mirror matchups is that you're going to get a production building and constantly produce out of it. So your army is actually going to be gradually getting better. And as you said, in ZVZ, it's just on and off. You can get a huge army so fast, and that's really the danger of ZVZ, and where all these overlords, spreading them out carefully, will pay off.
Being able to spot, especially being able to spot, say, like the mineral line of your opponent's natural, to be able to say, okay, he has stopped making.
Count those drones that are mining, and you can see, hey, he has 5 at his natural. I have 10. This means he actually spent money on units.
Absolutely.
And if I hold this off, I'll be ahead.
Or he's just keeping his drones as main to confuse you.
That's too many mind games for me.
Too many mind games. Looks like everyone is ready. This game is starting. We're going to be seeing a ZVZ on MLG's Metalopolis. So it will be cross positions or close by air. So we aren't going to see any shenanigans with any like real fast stuff. But still, close by air is actually very close by ground, especially with speedlings on the map. So we'll have to see what both these players do.
The 8 pool with 2 Spinecrawler Rush is actually pretty viable on Metalopolis.
I believe it. I mean, that creep extends outside the sight range of your hatch, and if you don't hold that up, it looks like it will be close by air, though, so we are going to get to see the Overlord Kiss or High Five, depending on if you're okay with Overlords kissing or not. I'm not sure.
I was going to go High Five, but it always depends if they actually just cross each other or really bump into each other. See, this looks like a High Five.
That looks like a shoulder bump to me.
Yeah, okay. Bro bump there.
Those little like the globules on the side of the Overlord pass through each other. Definitely a shoulder bump.
Yeah,
so they will know. They will know where each other are immediately, and so this is one of
we are in the game of chicken right now.
It really is. This is a game of chicken to see who is going to fold first and throw down the pool first, because of course you can always wait one drone later and then throw down your pool, and you will be ahead. Yeah. Because he cannot have lings at your base, in time.
And I love pro players playing this game of chicken, because it is so funny sometimes. You see 3 bases going up like really fast just because no one wants to make a pool.
But it looks like Gerbil is going to go ahead and throw that pool down first, and Mystic is going to hatch first. Does he see this pool? I don't think he does. No, he does not see the pool. He thinks a hatch is going down. Oh, this could be a build order loss here.
Well,
we'll have to see that. No, he did not throw down. Did not throw down the hatch.
Not down the pool yet. Is Mystic still waiting? He's up to 16 drones right now. He's throwing down his gas. And if Gerbil actually went for an expansion right after this, so I do think that Mystic is going to be safe. But
going for gas pool.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That was one stressful tiny 10 seconds where Mystic just droned up to 16 before throwing down his pool. That could have been dangerous.
Look at this out of Gerbil. I'm actually really excited to see this build. I've read about this build, and I think I saw a replay of Losira doing something similar to this, where he went, hatch, or he went pool hatch, and then immediately upon pool finishing, got a Roach Warden and cut his queen for a little bit.
and it doesn't even look like it matters that Mystic sees this. So Mystic absolutely knows about this Roach Warren. I'm curious to see what Gerbil is going to do with this. Is he going to straight up attack with a lot of roaches, or is he just going to stick with 2 roaches at his base? And
well, he can't attack with a lot of roaches because he doesn't have a queen out. So he can't make a lot of roaches yet.
And 2 roaches alone across the map are going to get picked off by the speedlings.
Absolutely
That's not going to happen. So these roaches are just purely for defense.
Well, like I said, I love the build though because it's such an interesting build to be like, you know what, I'm going to get the roaches out, and no, you know what, it looks like he is actually poaching out across the map. He's going to be able to pick off that Ling very, very easily. The roaches are great against non-speed Lings. Speed will not be done in time.
And there are 4 roaches, and at this time, I think that is a lot of roaches.
That is a lot of roaches at this point in the game. Of course, we have 12 Lings in production. And a queen as well, and queens are pretty beefy, so we'll have to see. But I don't think speed is going to be finished in time for this.
He might want to go behind the mineral line, stick to the wall so that the Lings can't get us around if he wants to sacrifice those those roaches in, sorry.
Oh, but you know what?
He's going to just pull back.
Here's the other way to look at this, and this is great play out of Gerbil.
This is awesome.
This is absolutely great play because look at how many larvae Gerbil expended to make that push. Only 4. Look at how many larvae that Mystic expended to try and defend that push. I mean, he made like 16 Lings.
Yeah.
That's 8 larvae. So he spent double the larvae, you know, to try and feel safe against something that only cost half as much larvae. So I really, really like that play out of Gerbil. I'm unsure how it's all going to play out because he's only got 1 queen up and he's not saturating his natural, and Mystic is. If we go to the units tab, we see that Mystic
has 25
greatly ahead in drones.
That is one huge deal at this point. It's so early on in the game. Mystic does have a supply advantage. He does have the harvester advantage. And he is just making so many Lings and roaches as well as Spinecrawlers.
I think we're going to be seeing an all-in here from Gerbil, though. He's not bothering to saturate that natural at all, you know. And as soon as Ling speed finishes, I feel like they're going to move out. Here they go.
I don't know if he should actually go towards that path. That is going to get revealed by the Overlord. I like how he's actually keeping those Lings in the back, not revealing them right away, so it might not look like an all-in just yet, and counterattack trying to go up for Mystic at the same time, getting thwarted away. These roaches are now at the main base of Mystic, but, I mean, there's just as many roaches and a Spinecrawler and a Queen. It's not going to do much. And that is a lot of Lings.
It looks like Mystic is going to be absolutely fine against this, but yeah, looks like I was correct here. It does look we are seeing an all-in. Both players now just going to mass production, but with that,
though, look at all the roaches left over by Mystic.
Mystic was able to get those roaches out. It was because he went hatch first.
It is.
Got that additional economy up.
It is still 24 to 19 harvesters. Gerbil is still producing only units at this point. So is Mystic. But if they keep this up, Mystic is definitely going to outproduce Gerbil. And there it is.
And the GG out of Gerbil. So Mystic taking that series convincingly with a 2-0. And that was some impressive ZVZ out of him. I really liked that build the second game out of Gerbil, but it did not work out for him.
And that was a quick 3-0 by xSix. I am surprised that 4King actually has a very strong team. They practice a lot, and they definitely are able to take a lot of games from these big names, but as they have in the last seasons. But apparently 3-0 is how they do things.
xSix did fantastically last season in the ESEA. I'm not sure if you looked. They actually came out on top, if I remember correctly. So they've got that champions title to uphold, and so I'm actually super excited to see what they do in this upcoming season, and super excited to see if EG is going to be able to bring it back to them.
I can't wait to actually see EG as well. I know sometimes they don't actually pull out Idra and Huck for these games. I really hope they do, and it looks like we are actually going to play the 4th match anyway.
We certainly will be. This is actually the typical format that has happened with all these ESEA games. Even if it's already a 3-0, they're going to play that fourth match because they want to have all those records. How many team lost, how many won matches for their standings.
Exactly. So the next game will actually be Warden versus Shadow. And you mentioned to me earlier that Shadow has actually a great, very, very solid style of play.
Yeah, I've actually been really impressed with his PvT in the past. His PvZ is probably what I would say one of his weaker matchups. I haven't seen a lot of PvP out of him, so I can't comment on that. But out of the non-mirror matchups, I would say that his PvZ could use a little bit of work. He tends to be one of those timing attack players in that matchup, but I've seen some amazing macro play out of him against Terrans, and that is just so much fun to watch when you've got these huge, upgraded gateway composition armies with good storm usage going off all over the map. And so I am jazzed to see what he can do with that in this upcoming series.
Okay, it looks like they forgot to invite you, so I just invited you to this game.
Thank you. So I'm jumped in here.
All right, and we're ready to go in the TVP.
TVP. Oh, this is actually I think this is my favorite matchup.
I feel one fun matchup.
I feel like there is so much that both players can do, so many options that both players have, and in Zergverse, either of these matchups. Zerg is often kind of more of the passive race, and the other two races are kind of dictating what unit composition Zerg uses. And I feel like in TVP, you've taken those two dominant races and you've put them both in, and so they're both trying to force each other into unique unit compositions that are easily countered, and the other one is trying not to be forced into that. And it's a very, very dynamic, very fun matchup to watch.
And it can really get into very intricate scenarios sometimes.
Absolutely. That, High Templar versus Ghost Micro.
Yeah.
So we will see jumping in on Tallroom Altar here, and I am so excited to see how this turns out.
I love the fact that they actually picked Tallroom Altar to be the first map in every single game.
I like that as well. I mean, it's those ESEA standard rules, but I think that a map pool will really help dictate what kind of games a tournament will turn out, or a league will turn out, and having a map pool which uses a lot of big macro heavy maps, you're going to be putting players in situations where the best player wins. I mean, I remember tournaments even after the game went live that were using Steps of War in their map pool, and I was just like, Are we serious, guys? We're using Steps of War?
I don't necessarily mind these loser pick small maps. If the loser wants to pick a cheesy small map he wants to do cheese on, if he picks that map, it kind of tells his opponent he wants a shorter game, so his opponent can prepare for it. I just really like the fact that the first map is a huge map like this one that really favors the big macro play. The rest can actually be dictated by what the players want.
Sure, that's a great point as well. Looks like Warden, though, throwing out the GG in Korean. So we'll,
Is he actually Korean?
I believe so. I think that that was actually the respectful form of GG, if I'm not mistaken. So showing a little bit of respect there to Shadow. Shadow, of course, if I remember correctly, is a Korean player, or at least he is of Korean background. I don't know if he is actually Korean. I met him, hung out with him a little bit at MLG when he was in Anaheim.
As long as he has the genes.
As long as he has the genes, it means he can do that APM spam.
It means he's OP.
There we go.
Simple. Koreans are OP.
But we will have to see. It looks like Warden going to be scouting in the correct direction first. Got the lucky scout on there. The gateway will be up, but the stalker will not be out because there is no cyber core, so we will not be able to chase that SCV away for at least some time. Don't see a second gas down yet for Shadow. I'm wondering if we're going to see that second gas or if we're going to see a quick expand out of him. But we do have a gas up for Warden, so we're not going to see any 1-Rex expand out of him either.
No, he is just now throwing down that Tech Lab on the barracks. Most likely 4 Marauders in this matchup with Concussive Shell there. Very, very effective against those Stalkers. And that is really the normal early game composition you're going to go for.
Absolutely. We do see a Stalker on his way out as well as Warpgate, both being chrono boosted. Continuous probe production as well out of Shadow. And looks like he's just running around with this probe in the main trying to check